this is Alex starting a new game and doing everything exactly the same. Meanwhile, here's Steve starting again, but having much more fun because he's using a challenge from this list of 10. If you find yourself getting regularly bored in your Minecraft world and you don't have an interesting enough objective to stick to, then this is precisely the video for you, because I love playing Minecraft with a more difficult twist, and I can tell I'm not the only one based on how many of you have enjoyed these super flat and caveman challenges on this channel. And to be honest with you, it's something I think about doing a lot more of, and obviously we have to say that the sky blocks and the survival islands just won't cut it in 2023, at least not for me, and so maybe instead you might consider the Nomad challenge. This is a really fun idea because it requires sleeping somewhere new every single night, and I think the simplest rule to place on this is a new biome every single day. So many people get locked in their monotonous Minecraft routine of building the same base everywhere, but you'll see much more Minecraft this way, and honestly I think have a lot more fun because you'll start to see all sorts of biomes you'd never normally settle down in. Oh, and on top of just being able to see more of your Minecraft world, it forces you not to have too much stuff that you start to store in chests because you're just going to leave that chest behind anyway. You can eventually upgrade your storage by bringing around an ender chest with you, or even later a shulker box is possible, although by the time you've beaten the game, you're probably at a point where you instead would prefer to settle down and move it to a normal world, which is what makes this challenge kind of unique. It's an easy one to get into that you can start and then move into a regular Minecraft world just with much more knowledge about what is around the area, at least more than most people. However, there are much more permanent challenges such as deep dark survival. You can do this on any world if you want to by just finding a deep dark, but I actually have a specific seed that will spawn you in a deep dark biome. I'll leave that in the link description, is alongside a video where I try to do that exact same seed, and this was one of my favorite challenges to attempt because there's obviously the big threat that you're trying to avoid, but even making sure that your needs are met can be a real big challenge to enjoy. This is something that is really wild because getting food requires getting some carrots or some potatoes after you've exhausted the supply. Even trying to get around this place without accidentally summoning the warden is going to require a lot of careful terraforming and accidental summons of the warden, and trying to get your hands on dirt is going to require really pushing where you can even explore in this challenge, which by the way, it's a deep dark challenge, so you really can start to push the boundaries of what is and isn't part of this as you start to grow. Also, even better, this actually becomes a bonus to you because the more that you terraform and bring this place into your own ownership, the more you start to realize that there are benefits of deep dark such as no mob spawning. Once you disable the warden, you can actually have one of the chillest survival experiences just deep and down below the ground, which is why this was kind of a great precursor to the whole caveman challenge. I do enjoy caveman a little bit more than I enjoyed this, but it was my favorite challenge up until that point, and so I couldn't go without mentioning it in this video. But you might enjoy something a bit more modern, and so why not try something that people have been doing in the real world for years, which is to look unnecessarily poor despite not necessarily being so. That's right, this is the poor man challenge, and this is something people love to do. There's a reason why shabby cheek is a thing. You want to do that, but in Minecraft, and deliberately limit yourself to the worst food possible. You can use melon slices, you can use spider eyes, you can use raw fish, whatever it is you decide to stick to one of the worst foods possible, and then only allow yourself to use leather armor and wooden tools, with the one exception that I would allow being a pickaxe. You can eventually upgrade to a diamond or even netherite pickaxe, however, all of the other tools are just faster when you upgrade them, and so having a full set of wooden tools and leather armor alongside a diamond pickaxe is not only going to look funny, but also it's going to force you into all sorts of interesting gameplay decisions. Here's an example: you are going to have to enchant at some point, but enchanting leather armor would seem worthless if you keep going through lots of sets, so it's worth getting mending for the sole focus of being able to have your armor last long enough that you can actually put protection on there. And as much as I can agree this just looks entirely ridiculous, where else are you going to get fully green armor from, or fully orange armor from, or fully any color that you want? You get to decide your armor's color, and you get to have insanely powerful tools that no one is even going to believe, but that's the fun of this challenge past a certain point. Being able to do absolutely ridiculous things in survival like this, or, you know, like witness this wooden sword against a chicken. It is insane the sorts of things that you can do if you really want to, and that is the power of the poor man challenge. You can ultimately do most of the things you'll do in a normal Minecraft world, but you just have to focus a lot more on actually keeping your tools well maintained, and in exchange you get to have a weird flex on anyone who ever joins your Minecraft world, which is great if you want the status of someone caring. But what if instead of having big achievements, you know, the reason you might be getting away from big builds in the first place is because you'd rather have fun while playing the game and trying to challenge yourself rather than making things that no one is going to see anyway. I mean, there there are weird people on the internet that want to see when it comes to me, but I think I'm in a unique situation with that one. If I was a standard person that didn't have this channel, oh, look at these doors. If I was in a normal situation, I think what I might be more intrigued by is instead doing something a little bit more of a challenge in and of itself. By the way, if you want to learn about challenges that are in it themselves, one of the things that I do here on this channel is focus on the vanilla game of Minecraft, because ultimately it makes a better title and it gets more clicks when you have something to do with mods, but I believe that the vanilla game of Minecraft is incredible by itself, and if you agree and you like learning more about it, then you can perhaps subscribe to the channel to see things like the Deep Sea Challenge. I will warn you right now, this is not a challenge meant for hardcore, it probably wouldn't work, and also you're going to die a lot, but I really like the idea of can you beat Minecraft if there's always water above your head? This means spawning in water, a surprisingly common thing for seeds, or jumping in there immediately without getting any stuff, and then seeing how well you can survive. Spoiler alert, you're probably not going to break many blocks before you die the first time, or the second time, or honestly the third or fourth times, but eventually you'll be able to work out a source of oxygen from which you can explore the world, or at the very least get more sand which you can use for more oxygen, and then you can eventually start to find sunken ships. These sunken ships are a source of wood, which in my opinion is very good, but also can start the whole process of actually being able to live underwater. Eventually you can start to have giant glass cities which you build under here, as long as you stick to the key principle of always having water above your head. I would say that you could technically go to the Nether under this principle, as long as you're always placing ice over your head, but personally I think that would come down to your own interpretation of the rules. I really think it's a fun idea to see how far in you can get to building Atlantis from scratch, basically, including underwater villages and all sorts of other insane things, but this is why deep sea survival appeals to me in a real big way. It would be such a challenge to get anything off the ground, but once you did, you could actually access a surprising amount of Minecraft and do some really silly things to make sure you could even go further, which is funnily enough the exact opposite of the one chunk challenge. This is one that picked up some popularity on YouTube again recently. I do have to say it's one I like the idea of because it starts so simply. Everyone spawns in their one chunk and then you just have to build some boundaries, or you can use a mod that does it for you, and you can never leave those boundaries. So the challenge starts really easy. It's the same as a normal Minecraft world, but later and later as you go through, you start to realize how many limitations there are when you can't travel further. If you want, I would recommend having some rule where you eventually start to expand the world. Maybe every single time that you get an achievement, you get an extra block in each direction. I think some way to expand the world is a key part of this, but having a limited area survival is something that is just so fun, and if it doesn't sound like it immediately, then you can trust everyone who plays on any console edition sized world, because the joy of playing console in many people's eyes was the fact that you were so limited. So what if instead of the world being 864 by 864 blocks, instead it was just 16 by 16 or 64 by 64? You can set your own boundaries, and honestly, I would personally try and pick an area that had a few biomes so you could take advantage of as much as you can, but trying to be as compact as possible is a really fun idea that you can work with in the one chunk challenge. I would say the exact opposite is true for the never only challenge, because instead of giving yourself a limited size world, you give yourself an entire dimension. I would say that you can either naturally in survival, if you want to keep cheats turned off, get yourself to the Nether, then throw out all your stuff, or you can just turn on cheats for one simple command, /set block portal in the exact area you're standing, and then go to the Nether and start your life fresh there. This is something that got so much more fun after 1.16, and honestly, it's one of the most underrated Minecraft challenges because it allows you to do so much of the game in an entirely different way. Want food? Instead of being able to kill passive mobs, it's the giant hoglins you've got to kill. Want to get yourself some ender pearls or some armor or any late game stuff? It's these guys, or it's the ore which is found everywhere you're going to have to mine. If you want to sleep, using a bed is exactly the opposite of fine, and instead you're going to need to get in line for one of these lovely respawn anchors. I think this is the really fun use for crying obsidian that most people's worlds just do not take advantage of, but you can be the one who does. The Never Only challenge is such a fun way to explore this Nether and really start to appreciate the differences between the biomes and how you can use all of them to survive as long as you can. If you want an entirely different experience that eventually you can again sort of take back to the overworld or the end, this is the one for you. I did this for several hours back when the Nether update came out, and it's one of the challenges I'm most nostalgic about, but I know, to my mind at least, most people say, oh, Nether update, that came out years ago. go. You can't go in the Nether now, but I hope those people are wrong, and if you agree that they are, then try out surviving in the Nether, which I guess would be a similar theme to the Mountain Man challenge. This is one I've yet to fully flesh out, but I really enjoy the idea of being above Y100 only. It's kind of the exact opposite of Caveman challenge, but it does tie into the Caves and Cliffs update, and this is because when you go higher up in your world, all sorts of things start to generate differently. So obviously there are no cave biomes up there's no deep dark at the very least, and obviously you're going to get your hands on a lot more coal, iron, and emeralds. In fact, so many coal, iron, and emeralds that getting a wandering trader might be your main source of salvation up here. Also, if you want to explore your world, you probably only have your first spawn mountain if you want to stay at Y100. After that, you're going to have to make huge pathways to the next mountains in your world, something you could try to fix by going to the Nether, but obviously the Nether is only 128 blocks tall, so you have yourself like 28 blocks of wiggle room in there. Is that possible? Can you even guarantee you'll get a portal in the top area of it? I'm not entirely sure, but this is the one that I would like to experiment with the most. I don't know where you take it or where it would go, but I love the idea of being stuck up high and maybe even replacing the rest of the world with lava. So only the mountain peaks stick through, and you really start to appreciate that, yeah, below that level is death. This is the one I'm most unsure about, but still think could go the furthest, which is the opposite for the next idea, which is one I know will go very far, the pacifism run. So try to kill as few things as possible, be a vegan, but in Minecraft. Or, I'll be honest, I'll tie this into the same challenge here, do the opposite, kill every single mob. You can't really treat these two very different ideas as different ones because of how obvious they are from one another. They're all from Undertale, but I will say killing every mob results in some really fun issues that I'll leave linked down below to my my Genocide run that I tried. It is a really, really fun challenge because you don't realize how many Minecraft mobs there are and how many of them you don't really want to kill. Killing turtles, yes, you've got to do it. Killing skeleton horses, oh, technically you've got to do it. There are so many mobs that you have to kill, and getting all of them is getting harder every single update, which I guess makes it easier not to kill them all for the pacifism run, but both of these playthroughs are a surprisingly different way to approach a lot of different decisions, such as how you're going to get food in the case of the pacifism, or in the case of the genocide, how are you going to visit every single biome and every single location where things happen to be. Ultimately, that's one of the reasons that I think going after this is also important, and that's why I really like the idea of an all achievement run. So this is something that is obviously monumentally easier on Java, where your achievements seem to reset by world, something I'm not necessarily a fan of, but it means that you can go from 0 to every single achievement, including that ungodly how did we get here one, and you can do that without relatively going through a lot of hard work, and then you have a world at the end of it that you can do what you want with. On the Bedrock edition, it means you either have to start a brand new account, which is a bit of a pain, or you can play Minecraft on a brand new platform altogether. I guarantee if you play on an Xbox and you have a PlayStation, or you play on your phone but you have a Nintendo Switch, or whatever combination of platforms you have, there is some different device that you could be playing Minecraft on, and I think it's really fun to try Minecraft with a different input method. Every time, as someone who plays a lot with a keyboard, mouse, and controller, I get really flummoxed every time I try to play the Pocket Edition, because even though these touch buttons are so intuitive to some people, it's really weird to me to play the same game but to have these control input methods. Even though the Bedrock Edition started as the Pocket Edition, it's so hard for me, and it's a challenge for me to do so many things, let alone get all of the achievements, and that's why the all achievement run is great, because it forces you to do all sorts of weird things, like renaming shulker boxes, or going to every single dimension that you can, and I think that this is one of the reasons that an all achievement run is a great way to experience more of the game. Don't just set yourself the same target of like, oh, I guess I'll make myself a farm, or I guess I'll get myself some diamonds because I'm in a new world and that's what everyone wants, I'll just get so many diamonds. Don't set yourself boring targets, use the targets that Minecraft sets you, or in fact, if you've already done it, try and get them as fast as you humanly can. This will give you extra gamer score, which is extra nice, but also will encourage you to learn more about Minecraft, but with a different input method, which ultimately will make you better at the game. Instead of doing something because it's just what you're used to and it's the thing you know best, try something that you've never done before, because our minds are very much good at pushing us into doing familiar things. That is very much a big part of what brains are there for, but also we should try and push back against that, because there are so many fun things that you haven't experienced just because you haven't considered trying, and that is the 10 survival challenges that you should attempt in your Minecraft world. I hope that you did all enjoy this video. I hope if you try one of these challenges, you let me know either via the comments down below, or you can use the Reddit posts on r/IBXToyCat, or you can tweet me at IBXToyCat, or post, or whatever it's called, and if you have a world for realm review that uses any of these challenges, challenges, let me know the name of the challenge and a sign somewhere near the world spawn, because I'd love to see the sorts of things that people get up to using these, because a new challenge is one of the most fun ways to play to me. But that has been the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!